I'm getting back to it. The movement I used to do when I was just to stop a little bit sooner before the crosswalk and see if you can cross off a few things from your list. You've been doing this. Oh, certainly you're searching for these food items that I've been putting in your path again. You're backing then. Not backing them up though. You're backing them up, bro. Don't go in reverse. Go to the place where you have rehearsed how to get out of. What I mean is, full speed ahead. I've been speeding then, realizing I gotta slow down again. Life's kind of a whole back and forth for me. Even when I'm 43, I'll be looking back to when I was just a teen, thinking, why did I do these things? Why didn't I do life the better way that I could have, right? Why didn't I take a left when I took a right? Why did I try to do things right when I learn from the mistakes, things I do wrong? All along, it's just a journey for me to see if I'm going to be hurting or we're thinking through things a little bit too much, wondering why we can't just touch the finish line with our feet. Running across some things. We're running across some things like, the boundaries. We're bound to be a little bit worse off the better we try to get. At least in our perspectives, that's how it'll seem to be. I've been seeing things out of authenticity lately. Taking these eyes I've been given by God to see and seeing if I can see some things instead of trying to see what I want them to be. Call it all in episode 10. Past couple have been a little bit different. Strange and peculiar people. We become one when we get married. One flesh. I must let everything I do be an extension of me or something. A lot of good quotes on the internet. I didn't enter just to be here for a little while, but I'm all in. You've been calling all the people, the police and everyone, trying to see why we can't. Because there's some things we never will. Like Dante here, the standard poodle, he's waiting for his food. He knows I poured it. Sure, he gets a little impatient. Just like I do if I've been trying to take this life at the type of speed that I think that I need. And God says, please stop and heed to the will of God, to the word of God. The words you ought to use are not things that you like a lot of the time. Trying to speak the truth is something that I need to be doing. It's hard though, owning up to the things you've done wrong. I've been playing this guitar so I can sit and teach what it means to play a song and not have to try to do it perfectly the first time. But maybe you burn your best work and save your worst lines. Why not? What if everyone thought you were someone totally different than you were, portraying exactly who you are, and everyone else thinks that you're something that's very, very, very far off of the actual truth of you? What then will you do? I just don't understand why we can't be understood when we're all the same, everyone here in this place. It sickens me. Not to the point of me being sick, but please, in all truth, I threw up last night and there was some food. I wondered, why? Did this make me sick when I've had it before? And have things changed in me, or what's going on? I'll tell you the truth though, a lot of things have changed in me and I couldn't take credit for the things that I can't take credit for without being delusional. It's a topic we use, or so it seems, often at least, to explain some things in life and why people are so different than you and I. But then we can look at the differences between you and I and try to find enough things the same to make it be something that we want it to be, to take our own opinions and try to blame them on someone else. I think it's really hard to call someone delusional because somebody has been doing something that you don't think is going to work. They spend their entire life doing something that you feel like is a waste of time. And you're wasting your time having opinions on what they're doing, calling it a waste of time. And you're the one that has wasted time. So what I'm trying to do, all that I can do, is point us to not the one but who created all the things here, Jesus the Christ. So when I say, oh, I'm all in, I don't just mean I'm all into life, because I'm all into life until my life comes to the time when I'm finished. If it's a race to be done, then everyone who's died has already won. And so my whole approach here with the phrase of all in is trying to be all into this devotion that gets really, really deep when I can sit in a holy place and be not moved. Do all I can to serve the King who created everything, including me and you. And I don't want to push a religion on anyone. I'm not kidding. I'm not some kind of person here thinking I know what's going on. I don't know what's going on, but that's why everything is so great, because things keep happening even if you don't understand the pace. My cadence, for example, when I'm making all this music and it's an ample amount of craziness, a lot of people think it's just a lot of noise and something they should throw away, or like I'm just a kid with toys and playing a lot of random things that they don't want to hear. And when I sing, they might think that I'm off key or in the ear and out the other, in one ear and out the, where's your mother, why are you so bad at life? Why don't you get raised right? Who are you, and why do you think you have a point to anything you're saying? Try to claim truth is truth, and you don't even know what you're conveying. And I get all the accusations thrown at me, and actually this is what it means to be all in as a human being. All in to serve the eternal King, Jesus the Christ. He knows what's right, and we don't know what's right, but we know that or do we? Whether you're speaking for yourself and trying to say that you know something about who you are, or trying to speak for someone else and claiming you know who they are. Either way, it's just what it is, you know? It's just what it is. Life is just what it is. It's like you're trying to raise your kids, trying to explain to them that you know what's best for them when you don't know what life really is. I think a lot of people think they know what's going on, and I think that I don't know what's going on, but I think that even if I thought I knew what was going on, I still wouldn't know what was going on, so I don't need to think at all. What does it really mean to be all in? I've been calling it all in. I've been saying I'm ball in just to joke with it a bit, to show some people that it doesn't matter what you say when you sit. If you stand, if you take a stand, you can stand in, stand out. And I don't want to even be standing around. I want to be standing now for the truth. How? What does that mean? And who gets to understand with a single thing? I just remember being a little kid in school, just looking at everything around me like, oh, this is cool. Can it end now? Can I go outside again and just live a life that's big, instead of being caged in to this little classroom? They're teaching me things that I don't want to do, and I don't know why they're teaching these things to me. Do you? Does anyone really? Does anyone really understand why we all just learn the same things that don't really actually help us with much of anything? We get programmed into our minds and into our lives the way that we should align our tries with something that's not. We've got this one-track mind on trying to be like everyone else who comes up in our lives, rather than having a trinity, because that's a bigger thing than I. Am I right? It doesn't matter if I am right or if I am wrong, but the truth is the truth. And so this is my song. We can call it a song no matter how long it goes on and on for. Call me a run-on sentence. I've been running on just to let this overflow a little bit, to show that God will, if we can understand what he's trying to have us get. He's trying to have us have an understanding that if we don't think that we can be doing things on our own, then maybe our cup will just start to overflow. If we try to measure things out all exactly and perfect, we might be searching for it to get right to the top and forget about the surface. Tension that happens when the water just can't miss the edge of the glass, but it holds on tight with its grasp. And now we're just filling our cup up until it runneth over. What does it mean to be all in? What does it mean to be calling music something that you can call music? A lot of music is trash to me, actually. A lot of people think that something I would call trash seems like one of the best things that they could be listening to inside these ears, and I don't want to hear a single phrase inside the lines of most secular music. There's no music till there is, but I don't want to be the one that's just trying to decide this, because music is bliss. You can have a lot of beautiful sound when there's no sound around. The sound of silence, that's something I like. It's golden. Riding into town on my pony, boy. If you know what I'm saying, then you know what I'm saying. If you don't know what I'm saying, well, what I'm making is some music. I call it all in because I'm all into doing it a little bit different than them. Just the next guy and the other girl and half the other schoolyard. They're all out there just jumping their ropes, and I don't want to be jumping, though. I'll just walk on by slow. I had a different kind of patience. Can you have some patience? I like the stutter step kind of approach too, because what if I don't do things that are a way that you think should be flowing to the tunes that you like to do, and everyone's got their own metronome inside their head, and I don't dread the type of life that gets a little bit slow at times. I like to slow my roll to find if my roll will keep trying to roll across the ground. What happens if we cross the line? It's a theme I come back to a lot when I'm sitting here and speaking words off the top as I freestyle these all-in episodes. If you want to be the fastest one, you're done. If you want to win, then win, but then what? What comes after that? Another challenge so you can do it fast? And look for another challenge so you can do it until you crash. Then you need a little bit of a break, but you don't feel okay taking a break, so you try to find another challenge to make yourself do something that really just leads to you running your entire life. But you're not running your entire life, or else you'd have the life that you like. And there's all these themes that we seem to keep coming back to, and actually, man, it's like I'm gonna take a sneeze and achoo! A lot of people are just aiming at you, aren't they? Pointing fingers, saying that they came out unscathed. Trying to claim they didn't get even the slightest bit affected by a thing. And you're sitting there with a lot of hardships, and you don't know how to get the difference between you and them when it seems like they don't have a single ounce of problems in their life. But what they do is hide. So what I like to do is try to do all that I can to not try. But then we're living this paradoxical kind of life, so I call it the gospel of Jesus Christ. But I only call it that but because that's what God calls it. In fact, it's written in words that came from the past in a book. You can look. Don't take my word for a single thing. Don't believe me, Evan Strong, the founder of InTheImageClothingCompany. Don't think I know what I'm saying just because I say I know what I'm saying. If I say I know what I'm saying, assume I don't. And take it all with a grain of salt. Salt the earth and see what your worth really is. We're just infants, kids. In my infancy, I got some things that I'm going to be learning. Please, can we just lay a foundation and take this to a different kind of place than the skyscrapers? Because I don't want to be scraping the sky. I want to be diving down into the surface of life and go underneath and find what makes it all tick. What makes it all just go back and forth and sure. It's going all the way around from 12 to 12, 12, 3, 6, and 9, and back to 12. And I'm just finding out that life is one eternal round, and if we just turn it all down, things will keep on rolling. Even when we think we don't have any option besides scrolling. Through all the things we could do in our lives, trying to find why we don't have a full schedule. Your schedule's so full until you don't have anything left to do. And now that has left you in a place where you feel like you're not okay. Because you realize you're not okay. When all the distractions go away. When you have to try to figure out why life is just what it is when everyone else finds their own thing to do when you don't know what to do. That's when you realize you don't know what to do. What about between the breaks? What about reading between the lines? What about if we can't find the thing we went to find? Is it a waste of time when we tried? Or did we learn some things along the way? I don't know. Until I do. There's a lot of things I don't do, and there's a lot of things I never will. Will you just be all in with me to the best that you can be? What does it mean to be a disciple of Jesus the Christ? Well, I think it means to live the best kind of life you can possibly live. Right? The one who created the thing probably knows how to live a good life according to these rules that he's laid out for us, more like guidelines. I'm trying to find the truth to life in the deepest way that I can dive. Going to scuba school and swim practice to see if I can do this triple backflip and get back to this trinity of life where it's backward, right? The paradoxical gospel of Jesus Christ. I just felt it was right to make a little bit of a swim lesson because we've been swimming less than the rest of them, claiming that we're just staying afloat or we're hanging onto the edge of a boat. So, just to be clear, I got 2 ears here. I've been given ears to hear by God. And so there's a lot of things that I could choose to go with and start to veer off the course of this path to eternal life. I don't want to be turning right. I don't want to be turning. But if I'm going to be turning at all, I'm going to be turning left back to God and turn it all in. Saying, I will not get every answer on my test correct, but I answered the answers on the test. So just see if I answered them right and I already didn't answer them right. Because I answered the questions on the test, not the answers on the test. And so if that was a test, then I didn't do my best. Because I always could have done better. So whether I do as good as I can or just try a little bit, does it really make that much of a difference? I honestly don't know. Until I do. There's a lot of things I don't, dude. You know. I just want to make it very clear. I am doing all that I can to be all in here. And that means that I'm back and forth. And sure, I could do better. But who couldn't? Only one. The one that we're following, and it's not always fun. Jesus Christ, though, he knows everything, so if we follow him, we'll do it right. At least close to it. Paving our way to hell with good intentions, intentionally getting ourselves back on the straight and narrow path leads to us taking a few steps back, it seems. At times, at least. Which can seem crazy because we don't understand how things don't always lead to where we thought they were going to. Because as we're going through the hardest challenges of our lives, this is what's shaping us to be the best person. The perspiration, right? It shapes us to be the best person we can find inside. But God will take the diamond in the rough and take the rough and put it off to the side and see what's inside and find the diamond and make it shine. But he doesn't veer to the left or the right. So when he puts it off to the side, I just mean he pays no mind to the things that we don't need to worry about at all. All the shame and guilt and things we feel are things we can still feel if we decide to feel, but they're things that we can just understand that God has taken from us when he forgave us. And the second we say, Jesus, take the wheel, he'll take the things and make us heal. He'll make us heal, make us whole, or he'll make us heal and make us hold. Really, he'll make us heal as in, whoa, take your roll and start to slow. And that's why I said a few minutes ago, it doesn't matter how my cadence goes. Because I'm saying what I'm saying. If you've got an equation trying to say it's got to end up being what you thought it was supposed to be when I was making the music that I was making, then you're making a mistake and trying to think that you can make me be something that you want, and your earth's going to be quaking. I'm going to rock your world with a lot of things that'll make your head swirl. Like a junior high school kid in a toilet, a lot of swirlies, and you don't get why it's happening until later. You realize all the lessons you learned from it, and saber. It's how it feels to be cut right to the center with the truth. It slices you. It slices you right through. Because we can spend our entire lives trying to find the kind of life we want to live. But once we realize that it's not what we want, but it's the plan of Him who sent us, the one who lends us breath every time we take a inhalation, and then we wait, breathe it back out again. Every now and then we start to realize what's really real in our lives, but then we get back to really not understanding why we're on this earth to begin with, and it's to try to find the truth that always lies underneath of everything that we could have be a lie that leaves. The truth doesn't need to be cemented in place when it is the cement that stays, the concrete, the eternal things, the rock on which we build the foundation that we have made. Then from there we go forward or upward. Sometimes we drop back down. But as we do fall, the only place that we can get to is the ground. Back to that foundation. So if we're taking some different things in our lives out of context, try to find out why we always feel like we're on deck. We're on next, but we're not quite just there yet. It's not quite our turn. We always feel like the tables turn in the favor of the other people, and we're going to just end up in the urine before we can even get a chance to. Even have a chance. I know how it feels to feel like you don't feel real. I know how it feels to feel like we can't even steal our own ideas because everyone else seems to before we could. It doesn't even matter if you feel weaker than you think that you could. It doesn't matter if you rhyme the same words 4 times before you try to find a different line to use. If you care about it mattering more to them than it matters to you, then you will never find the truth. Jesus Christ is that voice inside that lets you know that it's all fine. When the world comes crashing around you, comes crashing down around whoever it is. Because the weather will switch. It'll go from cold to warm. It'll go from the place where all the bees are swarming to warm again. And they've been warning him not to go over there, but he gets scared and runs away, and then he runs to a place that he shouldn't have gone if he would have stayed. But we learn our lessons and we come back. And then we act like we have to leave it all in the past and pretend it didn't happen, but God just says to us, trust. But not in the arm of flesh or what mankind can do, but trust in the one that created you. The prodigal son, if we're willing to return and come right back, and we don't have to be on the run, but even if we're crawling on our knees, begging, Father, Father, please, 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 I've been doing a lot of things so wrong, and I just really need a little bit of grace to suffice. All the lies that I tried to tell myself, to believe inside that I could be some person I really am not. Sure what I was thinking. But I sure was sinking till I hit the shore, and now I'm not doing much at all besides trying to find the difference between the sand and the rock in time. There's rock and time set in stone, as they say, versus a hourglass full of sand. Grasping at sand, your grasping can't land. You on the rock of your salvation. If you've been rocked with all these sandy trips you've been taking, trying to clean the sand out of your shorts. Staying clean is better than getting clean. But getting clean can lead us to a place where we can learn what it means to stay clean. I'm just saying we are always on a path of back and forth and back. And can you tour your old life, or can you just find what's right inside of the future of why? Are we always trying to find something different than where we're at? That's what's so crazy about it. I understand all the things that I understand, and those that I don't are some things that I don't want to know if I'm ever going to learn, because if I do or if I don't learn them, that doesn't mean that I'm not earning a place in heaven if I'm letting myself just live in a moment. Now, I said specifically there, live in a moment, because what moment are you going to be living in? Only the one that you're in. Drowning in everything that's around me. Unless I go down deep. Dig inside to try to find that little bit of air that's left. Understand that it doesn't all leave until it all leaves. And it all seems to just be gone sometimes, but it's not over till it's over. Enduring to the end, we can't pretend that we can complete the journey before the journey has been complete. A lot of things in life that we could want, and that'll lead to a place where we will feel unachieved if we don't get everything that we thought we should become or be getting to, or we're coming up on, and it's coming soon, but to a theater that's not near you. So you move. How close can I get until I'm right next to it? Because if I don't believe I can get it anyway, then I might as well just stay away. Take a break and try again next year. Hope one day I'll get it. Instead of just being content with where I'm at right now. And if I end up there, then wow. I can't believe it actually happened. But I don't need to, because it actually happened. Can we imagine a life without the possibility to imagine what life is, to see what life is? Can we try this? All the beliefs, all the imagination, all the things we could be taken under interpretation and trying to have some perceptions on, if we can let them all be gone, what's left? Because if everything did, there'd be nothing. Which can't actually happen. So instead of doing all you can to imagine the kind of life you could grab if you could really have the biggest grasp in your hand, then instead, can we just live for now and see if maybe tomorrow never comes? The day that always seems to run. You can't serve two masters, and if you're hoping for the future while you're looking backwards. You'll be stuck right in between in today. And that's between a rock and a hard place. Tomorrow's a hard place to get, and yesterday is something God covers us for. So, sure, is kind of where we are, right? In between the rock up there on the beach and the tides behind that just seem to leave. I'd rather serve the King than trying to serve something that I could imagine or make up or see if I could make out to be something I could make up. Because all my beliefs that I could choose to have, I could try to pretend like they could be real. But even the things that I want to pretend aren't real are still real. That's why we can say, Jesus, take the wheel, because if we don't, then something will happen regardless. If the car just keeps moving at all, which, being in neutral, that's what it'll do. It'll go wherever it decides to move. This is what I mean by life is only truth. It's nothing I could ever decide. It's nothing I could ever find in my mind a way to explain to a degree that could be completely understood by every single human being if you don't understand what I mean. You're a good boy, Dante. So, going with the flow. Literal wording, right? The gospel of Jesus Christ. Water will just flow downhill, and that's where it's the most content, and it'll stay settled at the bottom. Going with the flow. Just go like the water goes. Wherever the water goes, even if it doesn't have a hose. And we can try to direct it only till it gets to the end. And then what's going to happen? Well, it's not up to us. We made the hose, but once the hose has an end and the water continues to flow, the water is just going to go. Truth is truth. It's not up to me, it's not up to you. I can't change it, and no matter how much you try to, it's not going to happen. But God, since the beginning, is something we couldn't even imagine. Talk about the beginning, and we try to think back when we were born. But before we were born, there were people who were born that caused it. We could go as far back as we could go. Jesus Christ says, before Abraham was, I am. Now, I couldn't even imagine what it could be like to be in the beginning before there was a beginning. Because in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. So God was already there before he could even create the dirt. And we're only less than the dust is the earth. The dust of the earth. We're less than the dust of the earth as human beings. You know what I mean? The Book of Mormon, in there it says a lot of things that you will not regret. If you read it and you try to get to the truth of what it means, if you can let yourself get out of the way. Less than the dust of the earth. I'm only what I eat. And God was in the beginning before all the things. And I'm just one of the things. If I'm better than my parents, then how did my parents be the ones that put me onto this earth? If I was better than them, wouldn't I have been here first? There's only truth to life. It's for you and I. Because you can try all you want to try to deny the truth of life, and it doesn't change the truth, so why? Acceptance is the only way out. It's the only way now because you've landed yourself right on down on this rock in space, and now you take this journey from birth to death, but what if we go from death to birth, and what if it's all backward, and what if we want to do it first? By all means, you can be the first to die, but then why? The rest of your life is no longer anything you could even have to try. So, that's why I talk about racing so much. Because you can race until you're done. Which is the point of racing, is to get to the end. So why even pretend like you gotta get somewhere at all and just hit the wall? A dead end is essentially winning. You found all the options to get to the blockade. And we're all kind of just in this lost space between birth and death, searching just to find out how to do it the fastest, essentially. That's what you mean when you say you want to win things. That's not what you want. You might think so. It's not what's going to fulfill you, though. It's not what's going to take you home and make you feel whole. But it'll make you feel alone, and it'll leave a big hole inside of you, trying to do things so quickly just to get them done. Because then what? Once you're done with something, you can only do it once. Like life with its entirety. You hear those sirens scream, going to the scene of a crime from somebody who went from birth to death in the nick of time. And they won. What does it mean to win the race? What does it mean to win the game? And what does it lead to? If winning takes your life, what kind of life are you trying to lead at that point is what I'm trying to say, because you're not going to be here to make any kind of explanation for why it was so good to be in first place. Enduring to the end, it's the one that lasts longest. The one who gets the last laugh. The one who gets the whole thing when the other ones had to take half. So, anyway, that's what it means to be all in. Is to be calling the fouls in your own life and directing your focus to Jesus Christ. It's about living for the turnovers. the role reversals. It's about living a life where everything goes wrong even after all the rehearsals. Because no matter how much we try to get it right, we find our lives always ending. And it's with a sigh of relief or a sigh of please, another second of life if I can speak. As your dying words, maybe. So this life you live, let people think you're crazy. Because otherwise they'll think you're awesome until you're gone, and then they'll move on to someone else. Yeah, all in episode 10. In the Image Clothing Company music. I really do feel the best at my worst. It's like those times when no matter how many times you rehearsed, you trip and stumble over the verse you wrote, but the rest of the people in the audience help you out with the next note. Helps you remember you're not alone when you thought you had to do it on your own.